Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 423. Ghislaine Maxwell's legal team, specifically David Oscar Marcus, took out an op-ed in the New York Daily News yesterday and basically did their same old song and dance about how she should be released before her trial. And they, about how her treatment is so horrible and how Ghislaine Maxwell right now at this moment is receiving a worse stint incarcerated than anybody has ever received ever in the history of the world. The way they tell it is that Maxwell is being just horribly abused while she's in jail. And we know that's not the reality. We know that if she was in, say, general population, and something happened to her, she got beat up, or she got assaulted, or whatever, it would be the different side of the coin, right? Oh, why wasn't she in solitary confinement? They want her to get hurt, so they didn't have her in solitary confinement. That's basically the argument they're making, and it's absolutely ridiculous, right? Because the only way that there is even a little bit of safety in jail or in prison is if you shoe up. If you go to the protected unit. You can't run around on the main line in prison or in jail as a child abuser and think you're not going to have a rough time of it. So people like David Oscar Marcus and the rest of Ghislaine Maxwell's star-studded Harvard team can whinge all they want. But in reality, they know that their client isn't built to go and take a little bit of time in the yard. She can't have it. She can't do it. It will not work. The only way to even offer any sort of safety for Ghislaine Maxwell while she's incarcerated is to keep her in solitary confinement. Making the argument the other way is just ludicrous. What argument are they trying to make if they're not trying to say they want her in general population? Because the only other option is solitary, right? There's no in between. So that whole entire argument is laughable at best, and it might work with people who don't know anything about jail or prison, but for people who understand what occurs inside of those walls, then Ghislaine Maxwell is not a candidate to be in general population. So we're going to jump into this Daily News op-ed by Mr. Harvard, David Oscar Marcus, and we're going to see if they offer anything new or if it's just some of the old, same old, same old. This article was run in the Daily News. Headline: Ghislaine Maxwell should be released. She should await her trial outside confinement. What? I mean, I guess if we have a system where there's no bail whatsoever and everybody's getting released, then I wouldn't have so much of a problem with it, right? My problem is, why should Ghislaine Maxwell be able to get bailed out of jail, be released before a trial, and 80, 90, 95% of the people in jail for serious crimes aren't afforded the same ability? Why? Because she has a couple of bucks? Because she has a couple of bucks, she can fight this, and she could have people like David Oscar Marcus hop into the Daily News and write a whole op-ed defending her? You want to talk about not fair? How many people are rotting away in jail or prison right now who never got a fair shake, who never had access to high-profile lawyers or experts? A vast majority of them, folks. So whenever you hear Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyers and Ghislaine Maxwell cry about that shit isn't fair, well, I shrug my shoulders and keep it moving. You know why? Because life isn't fair. This article, opinion piece, I should say, was authored by David Oscar Marcus. Respected Judge Rosemary Pooler, who serves on the Second Circuit Court of Appeals in New York, just wrote that prolonged solitary confinement is one of the true horrors of the modern-day penal system. Pooler was describing a prison in Italy designed for members of the mafia convicted of murder or tampering with witnesses. So right away, he starts off with a straw man argument. She was talking about a prison in Italy, you buffoon, you Harvard-trained gaslighter. I mean, are you for real? What does that have to do with anything? And furthermore, you want to talk about the esteemed Judge Pooler. Let's go back and refresh our memories. Wasn't Judge Pooler one of the judges who heard the Maxwell appeal? And how did that appeal work out for Maxwell? So don't try and misconstrue her statement about what's going on in a foreign country with mafioso in Italy to what Ghislaine Maxwell is dealing with in America. But those convicted inmates have more freedom than Ghislaine Maxwell, and here it comes, right? This is what I was talking about in the opening. Going to argue that she has no freedom to be in jail. She's by herself. Oh, she's in solitary confinement. Woe is me. Meanwhile, that's the only place that is acceptable for her, or she'll be thrown to the wolves. Who has been imprisoned without bond on 25-year-old allegations, which she adamantly denies, and who, under the American system, is presumed innocent. No doubt about it, she sure is. But guess what? There are certain crimes where you get held until your trial, and this certainly falls under those set of crimes. Not only is it a heinous crime, what she's being accused of, but she was hiding from authorities, from everybody. Do we all forget that the lawyer couldn't even find her and they had to email her to serve her? So let's not act like she was running around, hanging out at galas and sipping wine in town square, okay? That shit wasn't happening. She was living under the radar, and she was so stupid, she tried to put her phone in a Takis bag, chips bag, whatever, to try and hide it. I mean, give me a break, all right? You act like this is a lady who is being persecuted, like these are the Salem witch trials, when in reality, your smarmy-ass, serpent-ass client has gotten away with this for so long that it's not even funny. And now that she has to pay the piper, that she has to sit in that jail cell, like a ton of poor people, the vast majority of poor people around the country and around the world who have committed a crime or allegedly committed a crime. Oh, now she doesn't like it, huh? Well, sorry. Those mafia members can watch TV, socialize with other inmates for an hour a day, and exercise outside for an hour a day. Well, here's a newsflash for you there, Mr. Oscar Marcus McMarhis. All right? Here's a bit of a newsflash for you, pal. We're not in Italy. Ghislaine Maxwell, she's not mafioso. And the people on the yard don't respect her or fear her. And you know that. So what you're doing here is lying, okay? Because you know, as well as anybody, being Mr. Harvard-trained lawyer. By the way, how many sessions did you have with Mr. Dershowitz, huh, buddy? You know, as a highly trained lawyer, that general population is not a good look for your client. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that. Furthermore, again, with Italy, how many of these Italian mafioso have a laptop provided to them by the government? How many of them get 13 hours a day to use said laptop? Shut up already. I mean, you would think that all of these high-profile, super supposedly smart people would have a way better argument. But they don't. Even those conditions, Pooler explained, amount to torture over time. Well, you don't have to worry about it, see? Because you're going to get your wish. After your client is convicted and she's sentenced, I hope that you're this adamant about her going into general population. Well, she'll have all the contacts she wants in general population. Won't have to worry about nobody talking to her anymore. I'm sure she will be Ghislaine of the Ball. So don't think we're going to forget this, Oscar. After this is all over and you're crying about your client being sent to prison, well, don't act like she has to go into protective custody because that's torture, right? According to you, according to Ghislaine Maxwell, it's torture. So I guess it's general population or bust. Yet, they sound like a day spa compared to what Maxwell is experiencing in the Federal Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. Italy treats its convicted murderous mobsters better than we treat a 59-year-old woman who is a citizen of the United States and never before accused of a crime. Oh boy, he's really stretching the envelope here, huh? So she was never accused of a crime. So she is not protected by the NPA there, huh, Oscar? Boy, you're a bumbling fool. You are a bumbling fool. If I'm destroying your ridiculous letter here, what do you think really intelligent people like David Boies and Sigrid are going to do to your ridiculous argument, bro? Give me a break, okay? So, she's never been accused of a crime, according to Oscar. Remember this. I hope the lawyers are listening to this. So she should not be protected under that NPA, right? She wants to waive her citizenship to France. She should waive her protections under that NPA. She didn't do anything. She's so innocent. And Oscar is pushing that narrative here, isn't he? Well, guess what? Put up or shut up, lady of complain, Ghislaine. Although I speak on behalf of Maxwell's family, no objective person could honestly defend the conditions of her confinement. You're wrong about that. I tell you what, when it comes to this and the criminal justice system, I'm more objective than anybody I know, probably. I want the whole entire system fixed, but guess what? The reality is, the system is what it is. And you, my friend, Oscar, who is part of it, part of the system, have perpetuated this system for years and years and years. And now the chickens are coming home to roost, and your client is being railroaded by the same system that has destroyed poor people forever. So guess what? You really want to fix the system? Well, put pressure on the lawmakers, Oscar, because guess what? These are the rules of the game. And we're just playing by those rules, my friend. We didn't make the rules, right? But now, guess what? They're going to be enforced. For 7 months, Maxwell has been detained by herself in a 6'9" room with a toilet and a mattress. That's called a jail cell. I don't know. Breaking news. This is breaking news I have for you right now, but that is called a jail cell. Oscar, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. The water from the sink is brown. She does not have the ability to interact with other detained individuals, exercise outside, or even have any exposure to the outside world. Again, let me introduce you to something that's called jail, okay? And if you're uncomfortable here and you're not enjoying your time right now in the jail, you are really, really not going to like prison after you're convicted. Guards point a flashlight into her isolation cell every 15 minutes during the night, making sleep highly difficult. She is under 24-hour surveillance by guards and 18 cameras. Well, shoe is on the other foot. How about when you had all of those survivors under surveillance? How about when you had those cameras rolling 24/7, allegedly? What about that? No big deal, huh? How about the girl you took the passport from? No big deal there, huh? But you get a flashlight shined into your cell. Doubt it shined directly on her, by the way, folks. And now we got a big problem. Now the world needs to stop. Now the UN needs to step in. Now we need to have war crime commissions. I mean, give me a break. It's so absurd. It is so absurd that it's not even... I can't even put into words how absurd it is. This is not because of any prison misbehavior by her, but because the prison was negligent with respect to Jeffrey Epstein, and he died. Oh, well, do you want that same thing for your client? Because the way you folks are positing your argument, it sure does seem that way. I'm not Karen from the suburbs. I know exactly what goes on in prison. And if you think you can gaslight all of the readers that have no idea, well, that's cool. But you're not going to gaslight all of us who have been following this story. And you're certainly not going to gaslight those of us who have friends and family who went to prison and really suffered under a draconian system. Others accused of more serious sexual crimes, but not saddled by the Epstein effect, have traditionally been released on bond. You epic moron. None of them are being accused of partaking in Jeffrey Epstein's behavior. None of them are being accused of being a co-conspirator and a mastermind behind a child sex trafficking ring, okay? So save your ad hominem attacks and stuff it. And furthermore, if you want to talk about precedent, well, we just had a case in Rochester where the grand jury testimony is being made available in the interest of public knowledge. So if that's the case, and that's precedent, by the way, and we're so gung-ho on precedent, Oscar, well, let's get that grand jury testimony from Florida pumped out into the public view. And let's see what you have to say about it then. Let's see what you have to say when we have the court documents of these girls accusing your client. Not only has Maxwell been denied bond, she essentially has been placed in solitary confinement. I'm not going to go into that again, but you know why. She's in there for her own safety, point blank, period. That dog doesn't hunt. That argument's ridiculous. And time to move on, Oscar. Maxwell shouldn't be detained at all pre-trial, let alone under these conditions. Oh, yeah, no, she should just be allowed to run around and do whatever she wants, right? Meanwhile, you got people who haven't paid parking tickets being detained. You got people who might have missed court being detained. But Ghislaine Maxwell, different tier, folks, two-tiered system, she does what she wants. And when she does get caught, these Harvard-trained lawyers start coming out of the woodwork to defend her. Fellow travelers and all, I mean, what is wrong with Harvard, Oscar? What is wrong with your university, Oscar? And again, how many sessions have you had at the knee of Uncle Underpants, Oscar? Some readers, following the skewed coverage, will say she must be guilty and therefore should sit in prison. Skewed coverage? Haven't missed a day since October 1st, 2019. Where you been, Oscar? Just hearing about you now, Oscar. How much of this case do you know about, Oscar? For those of you thinking that, please keep in mind that Ghislaine Maxwell has never been previously charged or convicted of any crime. That's because of the NPA. Who do you think you're bullshitting here? Holy cow, why would the Daily News let this run? I mean, wow. I mean, I know Murdoch owned the Daily News. I mean, Maxwell owned the Daily News at one point, but geez Louise, this is bad news. You'll let this op-ed run, but if they had somebody with a different political opinion, nah, you can't run that. We're censoring that. But if you want to protect a child molester, I guess the Daily News is the spot. She is accused in this case of events that are alleged to have occurred more than 2 decades ago. Her 3 accusers have never been cross-examined under oath about what happened. Oh, it's coming. Be very, very careful what you wish for, okay? Be very careful. And furthermore, when Ghislaine Maxwell, the lady of Complain Ghislaine, tried to sue people over this, why did it always end up settling out of court? Why didn't she see it through to discovery? Oscar, you're the fancy lawyer. You tell me, Oscar. In fact, prosecutors have fought to keep their identities secret, even from Maxwell's legal team, until shortly before trial. Presumably so that no meaningful investigation can be conducted. Oh yeah, that's exactly what's going on here. It's all a big scam to get Ghislaine Maxwell got, because there's no evidence. Bro, decades of evidence. Your client has zero chance to defend herself, and that is again why you idiots are working on nothing but like usual loopholes. All right? Point blank, period. I mean, this guy is an absolute... I can't even believe he's making this argument. Did you think that this was going to go over well? Did you think we were going to miss this one? I might be a day late here, but did you think I was going to miss this ridiculousness? Although supposedly known to the anonymous accusers, Maxwell was never mentioned, accused, or implicated during previous investigations of Epstein. She was only added years later after he died. What are you... This guy is on some serious mushrooms. Oscar. Dude, really? Are you being for real right now with this argument? This is what passes as good work for a Harvard-trained lawyer? Because, my man, I haven't even gotten busy yet. I haven't even started eviscerating you yet. This is easy work, homie. I didn't even need to pack my lunch, no special shoes, nothing like that, bro. I'm out here in my Chuck Taylors giving you the business. Now, when I'm done with all of this, maybe you could come back with a proper type of letter, a proper type of op-ed. Many of her accusers, both public and anonymous, have a financial motive to point the finger at her, particularly now that Epstein is gone. Oh yeah, big time monetary motivator over in this part of the world, folks. Big time. Because, they're backing they're backing the Brinks truck up in my front yard on a regular basis. Nope, one interest and one interest only. The interest of your client facing the music. If my loved ones had to go to prison for what they did, well, Ghislaine Maxwell, she has to do the same thing, my man. Sorry. And no op-ed and no amount of whinging from Harvard-trained lawyers is going to change it. Fictionalized book deals abound. Even the lawyer for many of the accusers is making deals. While there has been a rush to report the uncorroborated accusations, the accusers have refused to answer questions, and frankly, reporters haven't really been asking. Instead, the reporters are fighting over their share of the profits. You see what they're doing? It's all about the money. Basically calling everybody prostitutes. Anybody involved, you're money hungry. That's it. That's all it is. Has nothing to do with the fact that you might have been abused by Jeffrey Epstein. Has nothing to do with the fact that there might be a story here. It's all about the money. Give me a break. That's such a tired-ass old argument from you ridiculous wannabe elites that it's laughable at this point. You guys run out the same playbook. I mean, don't you have any new plays? Do you have like an offensive coordinator that can come in and tidy up your playbook? Because the shit you're running is garbage. Unfortunately, in Maxwell's case, the court of public opinion and a ravenous news media seem to be overwhelming the rule of law. The real theory of prosecution is that she must be guilty simply because she was associated with Jeffrey Epstein. Oh yeah, that's exactly it. There's no evidence here. This is all based on no evidence. People are just, making this all up. Everybody's looking to destroy Ghislaine Maxwell because she's so powerful. Are you for real, dude? I mean, honestly, did you fall and hit your head before you wrote this op-ed? Somebody should have put you in concussion protocol, my dude, because you're running around staggering right now, homie, and you only got hit with a couple of lefts. Maxwell will have the opportunity at trial to show why the prosecution's abhorrent guilt by association with Jeffrey Epstein theory is wrong. We rue the day, brother. That's all we've been asking for decades. And now that the dog and pony show has arrived, you dudes want to punch out, huh? Well, guess what? You're not going anywhere. You can talk all the nonsense you want. Time is coming. And when you get to that trial and your client is up there and she's getting hammered from tens and tens of witnesses, then we'll see who has the smirk on. Then we'll see who's the fancy Harvard-trained lawyer. But predicating her torturous conditions of confinement on the fact that some other inmate ended up dead in detention is not only preposterous, but shameful. What are you even talking about, okay? Preposterous, shameful, give me a break. There's no torturous conditions. She's in solitary confinement like any other convict. Our system of justice and fairness, both in the courtroom and in advance of any trial, is premised on the idea of giving the benefit of the doubt to the accused. But this case has turned that principle upside down. Oh yeah, because all of the people that are rotting away in jail and prison right now, that were put in there by your so-called elite buddies for stuff like drugs, yeah, I'm sure they're getting a real fantastic shake right now. And guess what? Until the system's fair for everybody, I don't want to hear shit about Ghislaine Maxwell's treatment, all right? You could miss me with that shit, buddy. Sadly, many have already convicted Maxwell and are fine with her being held in crushing conditions, even though not one single accusation against her has been proven. These conditions also make it impossible to effectively prepare for her defense. Then that means it's the same way for everybody, right? And until the system's fixed and everybody has the same exact shake at getting off when they're busted, then again, I don't want to hear it. You're spinning your wheels in neutral, bro. We're done with your gaslighting. We're done with the cognitive dissonance, and we're certainly done being lied to you and lied to by you and being pitched a bullshit narrative. Just this week, Ghislaine Maxwell is filing her third application for bail. It is one of the most comprehensive bail packages ever offered in a U.S. court and includes renouncing her citizenship in other countries, having a court official monitor her finances, and home detention. Any other person in her shoes would be released in a heartbeat. Her continued detention, especially in these conditions, is simply wrong. Well, Marcus, you're wrong, okay? And I just explained to you why I think you're wrong point by point in a nice little 26-minute takedown of your ridiculous arguments. And again, if some knucklehead with a podcast is punching holes in your argument at such a rate, what do you think other trained attorneys are going to do to this ridiculousness? I'll give you a hint, okay? And a little bit of advice, in fact. Marcus, go home and get your shine box. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at Bobbycapucci at protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, everybody, I'll be back tomorrow morning, and you know the deal. We'll pick up where we left off.